The sky was wrong. It wasn't just orange, it was alive. A pulsing, undulating sheet of flame-colored smoke pressed low across the Hollywood hills, swallowing trees, rooftops, and skylines in waves. The sound was worse than the sight, a low, rolling roar like the inside of a jet engine, the wildfire feeding on dry brush and canyon winds. It moved too fast, as if the whole hill had been soaked in gasoline. Inside the house at the ridge's edge, the Jacobs family watched their world transform into something unrecognizable. "Jesus Christ," Mark whispered as he pulled the blinds back with trembling fingers. He wasn't a man who scared easily, 46, broad-shouldered, a contractor who had rebuilt homes with his own hands, but the sight outside made his chest tighten. A ridge of flame surged across the canyon, devouring every pine, every palm. "Daddy?" His daughter's voice quivered. Lily, only 12, clutched her stuffed rabbit so tightly its head bent sideways. She had her mother's pale hair and eyes too wide for comfort. "We're okay," Mark lied, his voice cracking as the glass shuddered in the windowpane. Anna stood behind him, silent. She had her phone raised, but no call would go through, just static and, "no service," flashing in the corner. Her skin gleamed with sweat that had nothing to do with the fire's heat. The electricity had gone out an hour earlier, the house was dim except for the stuttering glow of firelight pressing through the curtains. The fire had arrived too fast. The alerts came late, buried under hundreds of notifications. The roads out of the hills were already collapsing under heat and fallen power lines. Neighbors had fled early, leaving the Jacobs trapped in their hilltop home, a house that now felt like a coffin. But the fire wasn't the only thing pressing in. Mark noticed them first. At the edge of the driveway, beyond the charred eucalyptus trees, shadows moved. Quick, low to the ground, unnatural in the way they seemed to appear and vanish through smoke. "Anna," he said quietly. "Get Lily away from the window." Anna followed his gaze, and froze. 5 shapes stood at the edge of the light. Coyotes. Their pelts were patchy, tails hanging low, their eyes reflecting the infernal glow of the hills. At first, Mark thought they were disoriented, pushed down by fire from the chaparral, but then one stepped forward, too bold, too deliberate. Its lips curled back slowly, exposing teeth stained dark as if it had chewed through ash and blood. "Coyotes don't come this close," Anna whispered. "Not like this. Not in a pack that didn't scatter at the sound of humans." Mark banged the window with his fist, a sharp crack against the glass. Usually, the sound would send animals skittering, but the coyotes only shifted their weight, their gazes unbroken. One tilted its head as if studying him. As if waiting. "Daddy, I don't like it," Lily whimpered, burying her face against Anna's hip. "They're scared of the fire, that's all." Mark said, though his voice betrayed him. "They'll run off." But they didn't. They grew. From the smoke, more emerged. 6, 7, 8 of them, until the driveway writhed with their lean, hungry bodies. They circled, their eyes shimmering like coals in the flickering haze. The pack was silent, no yips, no howls. Just the scrape of claws on gravel and the eerie rhythm of their pacing. The house groaned as wind shoved at its walls. A gust pushed smoke down the chimney, filling the living room with a choking, acrid haze. Mark coughed, waving his arm. "They'll break a window," Anna whispered, staring at the largest of them. Its frame was gaunt, ribs poking through fur singed by fire, but its eyes gleamed with something almost human. A calculating patience. Mark forced a laugh, sharp and hollow. "They're animals, Anna. They don't open doors." But as he said it, the biggest coyote stepped forward, placing its paw on the porch step. Slowly, deliberately, it pressed its snout to the front door. Its nose traced the handle. Anna's hand flew to her mouth. Mark's chest turned to stone. The flames outside roared closer, painting the house in shifting red shadows. The smoke crept through cracks in the walls, making every breath heavy, slow. And outside, the coyotes waited. Not scared. Not random. Watching. Somewhere deep in the house, Lily's rabbit fell from her grip, landing with a muffled thud on the carpet. She didn't even notice. She was staring too, at the front door. The brass knob rattled. Only once. Just a faint twitch. But Mark saw it. And he knew with sudden, bone-deep certainty that the fire wasn't the only thing that was going to kill them tonight. The sound was so small it could have been imagined, a faint metallic tremor, the knob twitching under unseen pressure. But in the suffocating silence of the house, it may as well have been a gunshot. Anna gasped, clutching Lily closer, her nails digging into the girl's shoulders. Mark, I heard it. He didn't want to admit it, but there was no point pretending. The coyotes weren't just pressing against the door, they were testing it. Mark stepped closer, his heart hammering so hard he felt it in his throat. He stared at the knob, still vibrating slightly in its socket. Outside, claws scratched softly against the porch wood. He imagined yellow teeth sliding against the brass, lips curling around it. No animal knows how to do that, Anna whispered, her voice tight with disbelief. Mark turned, looking at her. Stay with Lily. Take her upstairs. No, Anna snapped, her face pale but sharp with fear. Don't you dare tell me to hide. If they get in, upstairs won't save us. He wanted to argue, but she was right. A long, low whine carried through the door. It wasn't the yipping chatter coyotes were known for, it was stretched, mournful, almost articulate. The sound vibrated in Mark's bones, filling him with an ancient dread, like something older than fire had just called his name. Lily whimpered. Mommy, I want it to stop. Anna pulled her close. Don't listen, baby. Don't listen. Mark forced himself away from the door and moved to the kitchen. He grabbed the heaviest thing within reach, a cast iron pan, and clutched it like a weapon. His breath came ragged. He tried to steady it, to think clearly, but every instinct screamed that the house was no longer theirs. The coyotes had claimed it. The scratching spread. A scrape at the back sliding door, then a dull thump against the garage entrance. They were moving in tandem, circling the house, striking at its weak points like predators cornering prey. Mark's phone buzzed on the counter, startling him. He lunged for it, his hope flaring, maybe service had returned, but when he lifted it, the screen showed nothing. Just static. A crawling gray fuzz that shouldn't even exist on a smartphone. Then it went black. Anna saw his face. No service. No service. The fire outside pressed closer. Through the kitchen window, the hillside blazed, embers raining against the glass. A section of the eucalyptus grove had collapsed, a massive tree splitting in half as flames devoured it. The sound was deafening, the crack of ancient wood snapping under heat. And still, through the roar of fire, Mark heard the coyotes. Not barking. Not howling. Moving. The sliding door rattled violently, the frame squealing in protest. Mark rushed over, pan raised, and for a heartbeat he locked eyes with one of them through the glass. Its pupils were too large, swallowing the gold, and they didn't reflect firelight the way animal eyes should. It stared directly at him, as though it could see through him. Then its paw rose, pressing flat against the glass. Slowly, it dragged claws down, squealing a jagged line. Anna screamed. Lily cried out, her little body convulsing against her mother. Upstairs. Now. Mark shouted. They ran. The staircase felt like a lifeline, a fragile path away from the madness below. But every step upward made the house feel smaller, the walls tighter, the air heavier with smoke seeping through unseen cracks. On the landing, Lily tripped. Anna scooped her up, shaking, whispering, hold on, baby," though her own voice was breaking. Mark followed, glancing back, just in time to see the kitchen window flex under pressure. Not shatter. Flex. As though the glass itself were breathing. The family locked themselves in the master bedroom, slamming the door and pushing the dresser against it. Mark pulled open the closet and yanked out a baseball bat, his old high school relic, the wood scarred but solid. He shoved it into Anna's free hand. "I'll take the pan. You use this." Anna stared at him, wide-eyed, but she didn't argue. The house moaned as the wind shifted, flames chewing closer. Smoke poured through the vents now, rolling across the ceiling. The orange glow outside pulsed through the curtains. And then... tap. 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 At the bedroom door. Not scratching. Not clawing. Knocking. 3 deliberate knocks, soft and polite, as if someone, something, was asking to come in. Lily sobbed uncontrollably, burying her face in her rabbit. Anna whispered, "Oh my God. They know." Mark's grip tightened on the pan, his knuckles bone white. His body shook as the reality sank deeper. This wasn't an invasion by wild animals. This was something worse. Something that had crawled out of the fire, wearing the skin of coyotes. And it wanted in. The knocks didn't stop. 3, then silence. 3 again. A rhythm. A game. Each hollow tap shivered through the wooden door, pressing into Mark's chest until he thought his ribs might split. Anna held Lily so tightly the girl's rabbit was crushed between them, its matted fur damp with tears. "Don't answer it," Anna whispered, as if he would. Mark tried to swallow, but his mouth was too dry. "It's not," his voice cracked. "It's not them. It can't be." But the truth roared inside him like the wildfire outside. The coyotes weren't animals anymore. Whatever stared through the glass, whatever dragged its claws across the door, this was something else. Something intelligent. Something cruel. The knock stopped. For a breath, the silence was almost worse. The fire outside was deafening, yet inside the house everything felt muted, waiting. Then came the sound that shattered Mark's denial, the scrape of wood against wood. The dresser was moving. Not shoved. Dragged. Anna shrieked and pressed her back against it, her arms shaking as she tried to keep it in place. Mark dropped the pan and rushed over, his shoulder slamming into the dresser with all his weight. The heavy oak scraped an inch forward anyway, as if the force on the other side wasn't animal strength but something more precise, like a hand pulling. "Daddy!" Lily's scream was shrill enough to cut glass. Mark braced harder, his muscles straining, but then the rattling spread. The window across the room shuddered violently, as though invisible fists pounded against it. The glass bent inward, the glow of the inferno outside flickering through cracks. And then, it split. A jagged fracture zigzagged across the pane. Ash-laced air poured in. "No, no, no!" Anna screamed. Mark whirled, desperate, scanning the room. His eyes caught the balcony door. Glass, thin and fragile. If the window broke, the balcony door would follow. And the coyotes knew it. As if answering his thought, a silhouette appeared on the balcony, lean, ragged fur burned away in patches, its spine arching unnaturally high. Its head turned slowly, and its eyes locked on Mark's. It smiled. Coyotes don't smile. But this thing's lips curled back, baring teeth too long, too wet. The grin stretched until the skin cracked, revealing blackened gums beneath. Mark's breath seized. The creature pressed its paw, no, its hand, against the glass. Claws flexed, then hooked against the frame. With a sickening screech, it slid the door latch up. Anna screamed, "Mark!" He didn't think. He grabbed the baseball bat from her and charged, swinging with all his strength. The bat cracked against the glass just as the latch clicked fully open. Shards exploded outward, slicing the creature's muzzle. It yelped, or laughed, it was hard to tell, as it jerked backward. But behind it, more shapes crowded onto the balcony. 4, 5, their bodies crawling over each other like insects. The dresser behind them slammed an inch forward again. The door groaned. The family was surrounded. Mark roared, his voice breaking, and shoved the dresser harder against the door. Anna, the bathroom. Now. Anna scooped Lily into her arms, running for the adjoining bathroom. Mark followed, slamming the door shut just as the bedroom behind them erupted in sound, shattering glass, snapping wood, the pounding of paws against the floor. The bathroom was small, suffocating. The mirror reflected their terror, Anna pale and trembling, Lily clutching her rabbit with bloodless fingers, Mark's face streaked with sweat and soot. From the bedroom, claws scraped against the bathroom door. Slow. Deliberate. Mark lifted the bat, his arms shaking. He couldn't protect them like this. Not in a box. They'd be trapped until the fire itself consumed them, or until the coyotes pried their way in piece by piece. Anna whispered, "We can't stay here. They'll tear through." "I know." Outside, the fire roared closer, devouring everything. The air was turning black with smoke. Even in the bathroom, it clawed at their lungs. Mark's gaze flicked to the window above the tub. A small square pane of glass, just big enough for Lily. Beyond it, smoke swirled thick, but he saw glimpses of the roofline. The coyotes hadn't reached the roof. Not yet. "Anna," he said, pointing. "We go up. Onto the roof." Her eyes widened. "Are you insane? The fire. It's this or die in here. Choose." Anna stared at him for half a heartbeat, then nodded. She grabbed Lily, whispering, "Be brave, baby. Just one more step." Mark climbed onto the tub, shoved the window open. Smoke blasted in, choking him, but there was air beyond, air not yet filled with teeth. He hauled Lily through first, Anna pushing from below, then dragged his wife up beside her. Last, he pulled himself out. His chest scraped the frame, his lungs burned, but he tumbled onto the roof with them. For one breath, they had space. The night sky glowed red, ash raining like snow. The fire chewed across the ridge, turning mansions into pyres. But as Mark pulled Lily close, he heard it again. The coyotes weren't inside the house anymore. They were on the roof. The shingles were hot under their palms, the tar softening beneath the wildfire's heat. Smoke thickened the sky, glowing orange with every gust of wind that carried sparks across the canyon. From the roof, the Jacobs family could see hell itself, houses collapsing one by one into infernos, treetops bursting like torches. But none of that was worse than the sound behind them. A shuffle. A click. A scratch of claws on wood. Mark twisted, eyes burning from smoke, and saw one of the creatures pulling itself through the bathroom window they had just escaped. Its body folded unnaturally, as though its bones bent wrong, shoulders scraping the frame. It crawled onto the roof like a spider, its limbs too long, its grin too wide. Anna's scream tore through the wind. She pulled Lily back, holding her against her chest. "Stay behind me." Mark barked, swinging the bat. The coyote thing crouched low, watching him. Its fur was patchy and scorched, its skin raw beneath. But its eyes. Those weren't animal. They gleamed with something cold, calculating. Another shape slid onto the roof behind it. Then another. The shingles creaked under their weight. "Mark," Anna's voice broke. "I see them." There were at least 5 now, spreading across the roof in a slow, deliberate line. Their bodies swayed as they moved, shoulders rolling too smoothly, too human. They weren't just circling, they were herding, closing off escape routes with a predator's patience. The rooftop dropped steeply on either side. Jumping meant broken bones, maybe worse. The fire below was a sea of orange and black, swirling with embers that lit the air like stars from another world. "We're trapped," Anna whispered. "No," Mark growled, gripping the bat until his palms bled. "Not yet." The lead coyote tilted its head, then, impossibly, it rose. Not fully, not human, but its front legs lifted from the shingles until its body stood half upright. The grin stretched again, cracked lips bleeding. And then it spoke. Not words. Not exactly. But a sound that meant something, syllables half-formed through a throat that shouldn't make them. Hum. Anna's knees buckled. She dropped against Mark, choking on terror. "Oh my God. Oh my God." Lily shrieked, covering her ears, sobbing so hard she shook. The pack hissed in unison, a guttural sound like laughter and growls colliding. Their eyes burned in the firelight. Mark forced air into his lungs. If he faltered, they were gone. "Anna, listen to me," he said, never taking his eyes off the pack. "We run. Down the other side of the roof, to the shed. If we can make it, we can jump the fence." "They'll follow us," Anna gasped. "Then we make them bleed first." The lead coyote lunged. Mark swung with everything he had. The bat cracked across its skull, the sound like splitting wet wood. The creature yelped, or laughed again, as it tumbled sideways, sliding down the shingles and vanishing into the smoke. The others surged forward. "Go!" Mark roared. Anna clutched Lily tight and scrambled across the roof, her bare feet slipping on melting tar. Mark swung again, the bat shattering teeth, then spun and shoved another creature back. They weren't just attacking, they were testing him, taking blows to measure his strength. Anna reached the roof's edge. "Mark!" He backed toward her, heart hammering, lungs burning. The pack crawled low, teeth snapping, their movements synchronized like a single body. Mark grabbed Anna's arm, steadying her as she slid down the shingles. Together they lowered Lily over the edge, her tiny body dangling in smoke. Anna dropped first, catching her daughter in her arms. "Mark, jump." He glanced back once. The coyotes were inches away, claws dragging sparks from the roof as they closed. Their eyes glowed, and their mouths hung open, not snarling, but smiling, as if they knew this was only the beginning. Mark leapt. He hit the ground hard, knees buckling, but Anna caught his arm before he collapsed. Together, the three of them sprinted through smoke toward the shed, its tin roof glowing with embers. Behind them, the roof of their home groaned under weight it was never meant to bear. The sound wasn't just the fire, it was the pack moving as one, climbing higher, preparing to descend. Mark yanked open the shed door, shoving his family inside. Tools clattered, the air suffocating with gasoline fumes and dust. He slammed the door, bolting it with a rusted latch. For a moment, only silence. Then came the sound. Not scratching this time. Not knocking. Whistling. A thin, eerie tune carried through the walls. High-pitched. Mocking. As if the coyotes were standing just outside the shed, playing a game, waiting for the right moment to finish it. Anna clamped her hand over Lily's ears. Tears streaked her smoke-stained cheeks. Mark gripped the bat again, his chest heaving. The realization struck him like the fire's heat. The pack wasn't just trying to kill them. It was trying to talk to them. The whistling slid through the thin tin walls of the shed like smoke, winding into the Jacobs' ears until it vibrated in their skulls. It wasn't a melody. It wasn't random. It rose and dipped in deliberate patterns, a mimicry of human music that no animal throat should ever create. Anna pressed both palms against Lily's ears, rocking her gently, whispering words that were more for herself than the girl. "Shoo, baby, don't listen. Don't listen." Mark stood at the door, every muscle tense, the bat gripped so hard his fingers cramped. He wanted to scream, to demand the pack stop their taunting, but some part of him knew, that's what they wanted. They were listening for fear, savoring it. Then came the scratching. Not frantic, not wild. Measured. Calculated. One set of claws scraped the door, another the back wall. A third dragged down the tin roof, shrieking metal like nails across chalkboard. They were testing again, searching for weakness. The latch rattled. "Mark," Anna whispered, her voice breaking. "I've got it." He pressed his shoulder against the door. "They're not coming in." But his certainty cracked when the door pulled inward. The latch bent, the nails squealing in protest as if something stronger than sinew and bone was prying it apart. The shed shuddered. Mark shoved back with all his weight, grunting, sweat dripping from his forehead. For a moment, it held. Then silence. The coyotes had let go. Anna's breath hitched. Why did they stop? Mark shook his head. He didn't know. He didn't want to know. The answer came with a crash above. The roof buckled inward as claws punched through, curling like hands. Tin tore in strips, firelight and smoke pouring through the holes. More claws stabbed through, scraping air, searching. Anna screamed, pulling Lily into the far corner. Tools clattered as she pushed herself back against the shelves, wrenches and nails scattering to the floor. Mark swung the bat upward, smashing one claw. A shrill, almost human cry rang out, but another immediately took its place. Another hand. Another hole. They weren't just tearing through. They were digging in. One muzzle pushed through, jaws snapping, saliva spraying the floor. Its eyes met Mark's, gleaming with the glow of the wildfire, reflecting him like a mirror. Mark swung again. The bat crunched against bone, and the muzzle withdrew, but laughter, high-pitched, broken, rose from outside. The walls groaned under impact. Something slammed the shed side, making the whole structure tilt. Dust rained down, mixing with the fumes of gasoline. The shed was nothing but thin tin and old wood. It wouldn't last. Mark spun, desperate, his eyes landing on the shelves. Gasoline cans. Rusted but half full. Propane tanks stacked carelessly. Tools scattered, hammers, nails, a rusted hacksaw. They had weapons. They had fuel. They also had fire. Anna saw his eyes and shook her head violently. No, Mark. Not in here. We'll burn alive. We'll burn anyway if they get in, he shot back. Another claw tore through the roof. Anna sobbed, holding Lily tighter. The girl's eyes were glassy with shock, her body limp except for trembling fingers still clutching her rabbit. Mark's hands shook as he unscrewed the lid of a gas can. The sharp stench filled the shed instantly. He poured it across the floor, soaking the wood, letting it seep into cracks. His skin crawled as he worked, knowing exactly how dangerous it was, but knowing there was no other way. Anna whispered, "Please." He looked at her, his voice steady even as his heart thundered. "When I tell you to run, you take her and don't look back." The shed roof split wide. A coyote dropped halfway through, its body writhing unnaturally to fit the space. Its jaw unhinged farther than bone should allow, strings of saliva stretching to the floor. Mark struck a match. The sulfur hissed, the tiny flame a miracle in the smoke-thick air. He held it above the gasoline-soaked floor. The creature hissed, almost, smiling. "Run," Mark said. He dropped the match. The shed exploded in a bloom of fire, the gasoline igniting with a roar that drowned out the wildfire itself. Tin walls buckled outward, flames racing up the sides. The coyotes shrieked, their howls twisting into something closer to screams, high and furious. Their bodies writhed in the flames, some retreating, some charging forward anyway. Mark grabbed Anna's arm, yanking her through the opening the blast had torn in the wall. Together, coughing and choking, they stumbled into the yard, Lily cradled between them. Behind, the shed became an inferno, a burning beacon swallowed by smoke. For a heartbeat, it seemed they had bought themselves freedom. The yard stretched open before them, the fire creeping toward the fences but not yet cutting them off. Then the whistling began again. From the flames, from the shadows, from every direction at once. The pack had survived. And now they were angry. The yard was a battlefield of smoke and sparks. Flames chewed through the hillside, embers cascading like glowing insects. The shed roared behind them, a furnace of burning gasoline, but the Jacobs family had no time to watch it collapse. The whistling was back. It threaded through the smoke, high and low, echoing from everywhere at once. No single throat could have made it. It was a chorus, dozens of voices layered together, carrying a tune too precise, too human. Anna clutched Lily to her chest, stumbling as Mark pulled her across the yard. "Where?" she gasped. "The fence," he shouted. His lungs burned, each breath like knives. They ran, shoes slipping in ash and melted grass. The wooden fence loomed through the haze, half-charred but still standing. If they could climb it, maybe they could cut across the neighboring yard, find a path down the canyon. Then the pack moved. Shadows slid from the firelight, forming a wall between them and the fence. Eyes burned in the dark. Pairs, dozens, maybe more. The coyotes didn't rush them. They didn't growl. They just stood, bodies rippling with smoke, tails low, heads tilted at the same unnerving angle. "They're waiting," Anna whispered. "For what?" Mark asked, though dread already tightened his gut. The answer came with a sound that turned his blood cold. A door slammed. Not from their house. Not from the shed. From the neighbor's property. Mark spun toward it, and his heart stopped. Across the fence, a sliding glass door had been opened wide. The pack hadn't just surrounded their house, they'd infiltrated the neighbor's, too. He glimpsed movement inside, shapes gliding across carpet, paws clicking on tile. And on the porch, one of the creatures stood upright, its claw hooked through the handle. "They can open doors," Anna breathed. Lily whimpered, "Make them stop, Daddy." Mark squeezed her shoulder. "I will. I promise." But he didn't believe it. The coyotes began to move. Slowly, in unison, their paws dragging through ash. They closed the circle, hemming the family in with precision. Each step was a countdown. Mark raised the bat. "Anna, when I swing, you run." She shook her head, her face streaked with soot and tears. "Not without you. You'll have Lily. You run." He didn't get to finish. The first coyote lunged. Mark swung with every ounce of strength. The bat crunched against its skull, spraying hot blood. It collapsed, writhing, but before he could breathe, two more surged from the smoke. One slammed into his leg, teeth tearing through denim, hot pain ripping into flesh. He roared, beating it back, blood soaking down his calf. "Mark!" Anna screamed. Another creature lunged at her. She swung wildly with her free hand, the rabbit still clutched in Lily's grip smacking against the beast's muzzle. It snarled, recoiled, then snapped forward again. Anna kicked, her bare foot crunching against teeth. Mark staggered forward, bat rising again, and smashed the creature off her. Its body rolled into the fire, shrieking as flames consumed it. For a moment, the family pressed together, gasping, bleeding, surrounded by smoke. The pack didn't flinch at their losses. They only closed tighter, circling, their whistling tune rising into a manic crescendo. Then, silence. The pack froze. Every head lifted, ears twitching. For a heartbeat, they weren't looking at the Jacobs at all. They were looking at the fire. Mark realized too late what they were waiting for. The wind shifted. The blaze roared as a wall of flame leapt the canyon, a curtain of fire racing straight for the yard. "Go!" Mark bellowed, dragging Anna and Lily. They sprinted toward the fence, the heat blistering their skin. The coyotes didn't stop them this time. They ran alongside them, weaving through the smoke like shadows. Driving them. Hurting them. Anna reached the fence first. She shoved Lily up, clawing at the wood, screaming, "Climb, baby, climb." Mark lifted her higher, ignoring the agony in his leg as blood poured from the bite. Lily tumbled over the top, landing on the other side with a cry. Anna scrambled after her, nails tearing on splintered wood. Mark turned, swinging his bat in wild arcs as the pack closed in. Their eyes reflected the fire, their teeth dripping. They didn't lunge. Not yet. They were waiting, savoring. "Come on, Mark." Anna screamed from the other side. He planted his foot on the fence, hauling himself upward. Pain ripped through his bitten leg, nearly dropping him. But Anna's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist, pulling. For one desperate moment, he was almost free. His chest cleared the fence, his arms hooked over. Then a claw caught his ankle. It yanked him backward, slamming him into the dirt. His bat flew from his hands. The pack swarmed, their bodies blotting out the fire, their teeth glinting inches from his throat. Anna's scream was drowned by the roar of flames as the wildfire surged into the yard. Mark's last thought before the world became teeth and fire was simple. They weren't coyotes. They were something that wore coyotes like masks. The fire swallowed the yard. Flames climbed trees like serpents, snapping branches into blazing spears. Smoke funneled through the canyon, a choking storm that blotted out the stars. The Jacobs' home groaned, its windows bursting, the roof a torch. On the far side of the fence, Anna clutched Lily, screaming Mark's name. Her throat was raw, but the inferno devoured her voice. She could only watch as the coyotes dragged him down in the yard they had just escaped. "Daddy!" Lily shrieked, reaching through the slats, her little fingers bloody with splinters. The pack swarmed Mark in silence. No snarling, no chaos, just teeth, claws, and an eerie rhythm, as though they were working together. His scream split the firestorm, raw and desperate, until they were cut short. Then, nothing. The coyotes lifted their heads as one, muzzles painted red. Their whistling tune began again, a low, haunting melody threading through the roar of fire. It wasn't animal, it was language. Anna pulled Lily into her arms, rocking her as tears carved black streaks down her soot-stained face. She wanted to run, to climb down the hill, but the canyon was a funnel of flame. Behind them, the neighbor's house had ignited, windows vomiting fire. There was nowhere left. The whistling grew louder. Shapes pressed against the fence, eyes glowing between the gaps. Then, slowly, claws hooked into the wood and began to pull. Boards cracked, splinters rained, and Anna knew they weren't trying to get in, no, they were dismantling the barrier deliberately, piece by piece. "They're not animals," Anna whispered. "They're hunters." Lily whimpered, clinging to her shirt. Anna's mind spun. She had no weapons, no plan. Only the fire. She forced herself to look around, the neighboring house's patio, half-burned but still intact. A propane tank sat against the wall, paint blistered by heat. "Lily," she whispered, cupping her daughter's face. "We're going to run, okay? We're going to run fast." "But Daddy." Tears stung Anna's eyes, but she shook her head. "Daddy wants us to live. Do you hear me? We have to live." The fence gave way with a crack. Coyotes poured through the opening, smoke clinging to their fur. Their eyes never blinked, their movements too smooth, too human. One of them walked upright for a step before dropping back to all fours. Anna scooped Lily into her arms and ran. The patio groaned beneath her feet. Coyotes loped behind, not rushing, just following, closing the circle. She skidded across the tiles and hurled herself at the propane tank. The heat radiating from it was unbearable. She dropped Lily behind her. "Stay back," she shouted, fumbling at the valve. Her fingers burned against the metal, but it turned, a hiss of gas filling the air. The coyotes slowed. They knew. Their heads tilted in unison, ears twitching, eyes fixed on her with something disturbingly close to recognition. Anna grabbed a fallen ember from the deck. Her skin blistered instantly, but she didn't let go. "For Mark," she hissed, and dropped it. The explosion was a sunburst. Fire roared outward, shattering glass, hurling bodies, coyote and human alike, into the yard. The blast knocked Anna off her feet, heat tearing the air from her lungs. She slammed hard into the dirt, ears ringing, vision swimming. When she opened her eyes, the world was fire. Coyotes burned, their silhouettes staggering like shadows cast on smoke. Some writhed, shrieking in a pitch that wasn't animal at all. Others staggered through the flames, still moving, still coming. Anna crawled, pulling Lily against her, shielding her with her own body. Her skin was scorched, her breath shallow, but she forced herself up, stumbling through the wreckage. They reached the edge of the canyon. Below, the hillside was a river of fire. No escape. Behind them, something moved. Anna turned and froze. From the smoke emerged a shape, tall, lean, its skin rippling as though stitched together from pelts. Its face was a mask of coyote features, but stretched wrong, the snout elongated into a grin. It walked upright, claws curling, its glowing eyes fixed on her. The surviving coyotes gathered around it, heads bowed, their whistling tune now low and reverent. Lily whimpered. "Mommy." Anna pulled her daughter close, trembling, her back to the fire. There was nowhere left to run. The figure tilted its head, as if studying her. Then, slowly, it raised one clawed hand and pointed, to the fire behind her. A choice. Burn, or be taken. Anna pressed her lips to Lily's forehead, sobbing silently. "Close your eyes, baby. Just close your eyes." The fire surged, the ground cracked, and the last thing Anna heard before the world vanished into black was that unholy whistling, an echo that promised it wasn't over. Because the coyotes weren't just lost to the fire. They were the fire. And they would spread.